Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. This is How Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. Now in this video, we are looking at some other laws of indices. They are basically applications of the basic laws we have looked at. They look a little bit complicated, but if you just apply the simple ones, you'll be able to understand that there are no new laws but just application of smaller ones. Without much ado, let's quickly look into these. The first will be looking among this as when you raise a fraction to a negative power. When we raise a fraction to a negative power. So we take a fraction such as a over b, and then let's raise this towards negative n. Now this here is just an application of what? The fractional index. So the first among this we'll be looking at is a fraction raised to a power. A fraction raised to a power. Now, anytime you have a fraction that is raised to a power, it's very simple. So we have a over b, okay? And specifically, we are looking at a fraction raised to a positive power. So if you have a fraction that is raised to a positive power, then you simply evaluate it as a to the power n all over b to the power n. Simply put, this a over here is affecting the numerator, and then it is also affecting the denominator as well. You get it? So for instance, if we have 2 over 3 all squared, then it simply means the power is affecting our numerator such that you are going to get 2 raised to the power 2, and then it's also affecting our denominator such that you are getting what? 3 to the power 2. And this, when evaluated, we have 2 to the power 2, which gives us a 4, and 3 to the power 2, which on the other hand gives us a 9. This is when you raise a fraction to a power. But what if the power is negative? That is a very special case we have to look at. So if our power is negative, then that goes beyond just what we have here. So for instance, if we have a over b and it's raised to the power negative n. Now, all I said when we were working on negative powers is that we always want to work with positive powers. So what we do is we reciprocate the fraction and change the index to positive. What do I mean by we reciprocate the fraction? We have a over b. So we should instead write it as b over a, and then we raise it to the positive power. Very simple, right? So a negative index inverts the fraction and removes the negative sign. You see, so this has been what? Inverted, such that the a has come to be in place of what? The b, and then the b has gone to be in place of the a. Whereas we then have what? A positive power instead of our negative power. Let's see how we apply this over here. So let's take 2 over 3 all raised to the power negative 1 as an example. As you can see, the fraction has been raised to a negative power. To evaluate it, all we need to do is to what? Invert our fraction. Inverting our fraction, instead of 2 over 3, we mean it becomes a 3 over 2. All raised to the power, instead of the negative, then we have what? Just 1. You get it? And then comes a fraction raised to a positive power. This one here. So it becomes 3 to the power 1 over 2 to the power 1. And we know any number to the power 1 is the same number. So our answer then becomes what? 3 over 2. Very simple and straightforward. Let's look at some few more examples. Over here we have 4 over 5 all to the power negative 2. You see, this here is raised to a negative power. So all we want to do is what? Invert the fraction. So that instead of 4 over 5, it becomes a 5 over 4. Now, if we've been able to invert it, then all we need to do is to what? Change our power so that it becomes a positive. You see? So now that it is a positive, we can now solve. So if it is a positive now, we know this affects the numerator and it also affects the denominator. So it becomes a 5 squared all over a 4 squared. And 5 squared we know gives us a 25. 4 squared on the other hand gives us a 16. And that becomes our answer, as simple as that. Now, apart from quotients being raised to a power, sometimes you have products that are raised to a power as well. So let's look at those. Talking of a product being raised to a power, we simply mean you have A and then B. You see, there's a product and it is raised to a power. So all we do when we see these is the A takes the power and the B also takes the what? The power. That is, you distribute the D over your two bases. You get it? Distribute the power to each of the factor of the product. An example here. We have 2x all raised to the third. You see? So with this here, all we do is we distribute 3 over what? 2 and also distribute it over the x. So that it then becomes what? 2 raised to the power 3 x raised to the power 3. And evaluating that, we have 2 raised to the power 3, which becomes what? 8. And then x raised to the power 3 is still maintained. You see? Yes. So if we have 3ab all to the what? Second power, it still applies. If you have a number of factors in the bracket, you still have to do what? Distribute your power over them. So that we are then going to have a 3 squared a to the second power b to the what? Power 2. You see? So that is just how it is. All these rules we have looked at in this video is just an application of the basic ones we have done in our preceding video. All we are saying is a fraction raised to the power positive power. You just distribute your power over them. So as you see, A is distributed, N is distributed towards your A, and then same applies to the B. So that it gives us what we have over here. But if you have a negative power, as we saw here, then all we do is we find the reciprocal of your fraction and you now change your negative power so it becomes a positive power. Very simple. Then the final one we are looking at here is if you have a product that has an exponent, distribute your exponent over to the two factors of the product. As simple as that. So the following are some exercises you can try on your own. So you have these 3 sets of questions here. This is our first one, the second one, and then the third one. Okay. And the first one is just you having what? A fraction with a negative index. The second one is you having a product raised to a power. Then the third one is just a combination of the two. I do hope you'll be able to do it. This is Hard Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. If this is your first time on this channel and you think it's going to be helpful, you can choose to subscribe so that anytime I release a new video, you can always be notified so you learn along. Stay safe and stay blessed. Bye.